Let's hear from Pop Turner speaking to Jalen Thomas Brooks about Thanksgiving, which is going to be in theaters November 17th. Welcome to the show, man. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. It's going to be great.
You know, it's so interesting, man, because I'm a big horror movie guy. Isn't the shift, by the way, from like October 31st to November 1st so weird? Like,
it's wild.
There's no leeway or anything. We just get right into the holiday stuff, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah. The jumps too quick sometimes. It's crazy.
Because I watched a lot of stuff, like spooky season stuff this year in October. But you know what? Thanksgiving, the horror movie is coming out November 17th. So we're going to delay the end of spooky season, right? For a good reason.
Yeah, we're filling that gap right there, so it's gonna be good.
15 years in the making, the Grindhouse, the trailer for Thanksgiving. I mean, this was one of those movies, man, where like I remember just because you know how movies get like made these days is like there's all these announcements and steps of a movie getting disseminated into the world. There's like the trailer, there's the announcements, then the trailers, then the cast and everything. Is it starting to hit you that people are going to be able to see it? Like it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it is really starting to hit me, and along with the rest of the cast, we were all like texting. And once the strike got lifted, it was like a flood of everything. We're like, holy crap, this is actually real. And then seeing it yesterday was just like it was crazy. Just seeing it in person and being like, yeah, this is legit happening.
What can you tell me about the audition process? Like, did you audition for the character you got? Did you audition for multiple? Because I feel like each audition story is different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I only auditioned for Bobby. Okay. And it was a 2-thing process. We sent in a self-tape, and then we got a call back, and that's when I met Eli. So we did something over Zoom like this. Mm-hmm. And it was just that. And then he was throwing curveballs in the audition process about playing the character totally different than how we actually played it in the film. He was just seeing if he could work with us. It was really, really fun. I said the audition scene that we did was between me and Milo.
Yeah. Those are some of the best parts of the movie, man. Yeah. And it's cool, right? Because it's like a killer's on the loose. It's a horror movie, but it's pretty cool and refreshing to bring those comedic elements too, right?
Yeah, it's so funny. It was like it really surprised me how funny everything it turned out. It was great. Yeah.
I think one of my favorite things about this is the fact that you kind of have a little bit of like a two-headed monster with Thanksgiving, because in one regard, it's a slasher movie, right? So there's someone killing someone in a small town and everything. So you go to like the Friday the 13th, and you go to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre where you know who the killer is. But then you flip the switch, Jalen, and it's like, it's like a whodunit. Like you don't know who the killer is, right? You go to the movies. Yeah. So you have the best of both worlds. You got the slasher component and the whodunit component. Do you think about that at all when you're reading the script, when you sign on? Like that's the coolest thing I feel like about the project.
Oh, totally. There was none of us actually knew what the actual ending was until we actually got on set. None of us had the actual legit like last 15 pages of everything. So none of us knew what was actually happening. Okay. And so we were all like, who actually is playing this person?
So let me ask you a question. Eventually you found out who the killer was. Okay. Uh-huh. So then these are some yes or no questions now.
Yeah.
Did you have a prediction of who the killer was?
Okay. I did have a prediction, yes.
Were you right?
I was. I was right.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was right, yeah.
Okay, because I've interviewed some of your cast and asked them the same question. Everyone, it's just been a bunch of no's.
I sat there in my hotel room. I went through everything, every single possible outcome, and I thought about it.
You had like a notebook, and you were like playing.
Yeah, I wanted to know so bad, and I figured it out, and then it's hilarious. Yeah.
Are you ever conscious of like how the audience member is going to be watching the movie when you're making it, or does that happen a lot like after you make it? Like, are you conscious that like the audience member is going to be a detective like watching this thing?
Like you kind of are, but Eli actually really helped with it because he was like, dude, Jalen, do this little thing, like turn your anger up here so the audience is going to be like, this dude could tick at any moment and stuff. And you tell everybody these little things to do so it leaves the audiences on their toes. And so you're conscious of it, but you don't know how meticulous it is. Like it's actually everything the audience sees. They're just these little things they can pick up on that they seem so big on camera, but to you, they're like just these little tiny things. Yeah,
absolutely. the horror movie has always been around, but there's obviously been this big surge in popularity. And there's, movies like this that have the traditional, gore and like slasher films. And then there's like the new ones where it's like people are scary. You know what I mean? Like head games and everything. Yeah. What's it like working on a horror movie, Jalen, at a time where there is an appetite for a lot of this content? Like there's some of the most popular movies that come out these days.
Yeah, it's really grand, and especially there's a scene at the beginning where we had a bunch of extras, and it's everybody's kind of doing these big scenes to scale, and so we had like 1,000 extras, and it feels big while you're doing it, and you do feel like this kind of pop culture element to it where you feel like all these little things are just going to be kind of sought after, and while you're filming it, you're like, man, this is kind of going to become a classic, and it's just weird to be around people and be like, we're kind of making something here that's going to be timeless a little bit. And so, because horror lasts for a long time, it just kind of stays throughout the years and stuff.
And you have, like I said, we kind of creep into like the holiday season because it's Thanksgiving. So the shelf life is like spooky season, and then maybe I'll watch this around Christmas time. I don't know.
Yeah.
Man, it's just crazy to think about the concept of like the whodunit. And like, for example, it's interesting because, Patrick and Jeff play like the cops in this movie. And I find it interesting because it's like, they're supposed to be the ones not panicking and figuring it out. But like, it's just the scenario of this happening in like a small town where nobody is safe, right? Like what was that? What was it like reading those kind of aspects of the script specifically? Like no one is safe, right?
Yeah, it was like we were all being like, anybody could die at any moment. And there's times where there are certain characters dying where like the story actually switched to being like, this isn't just like a slasher. This is actually getting pretty personal. And so it's like all of us are we were all on edge that each death continuously got worse and worse. And we're like, anybody can go at any time and any way possible. Like you don't know what's going to happen, especially with, I don't want to give any spoilers, but porn skew. But
dude, I was just going to say that. Dude,
yeah.
Like the corn, like I can never look at corn the same ever again.
I don't know how he came up with that. It's so insane,
Dude, I watched that trailer with my parents and like, my mom's reaction to the corn was the most genuine. Like she was just like, I can never look at corn again the same.
Hearing everybody's reaction to the theater last night, when that happened, when they both went in, it was like everybody was just jumped, and
we could talk about it because it's in the trailer.
True.
Whether you've been on a set one time or 100 times, you're always going to learn something new. I feel like, the fact that the people you got to work with on this movie, like, it's just, I feel like there's learning experiences every second. You know what I mean? But like any learning experiences on Thanksgiving for you as an actor, storyteller that come to mind specifically?
Yeah, totally. There's a big one with Eli. He really kind of taught me how to just kind of just get out of my own way, like get out of my head, and just like really listen to him and just do what he's telling you to do. I mean, he was a director that was really voiced what he wanted, but also just like not thinking too hard about it and just do what's on the page and do that to the best of your ability, because that's just it just works. And it was just kind of getting out of your own way and just not overcomplicating things, not trying to make anything too deep or too light or too funny. It's just kind of going with the flow and just listening to everybody around you, feeding off your cast and everything, and just staying in your lane almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was a big thing for me. Yeah.
And with Eli, to add to that too, I mean, his movies have so many different elements. Even though you think about the fact that it's like, he's like an icon in horror, like the comedy component of it, the slasher component of it. There's so many things. Like, man, I remember like I wasn't old enough to go see like the first Hostel, but like that was just like, dude, like the talk of the town of like how scary and how like, like gory it was. Like it's you're looking at a movie like that, but then you're looking at, his version, like Cabin Fever and like Thanksgiving and like the comedy aspect of it. Like it's pretty crazy to think about, right? Like the elements of Eli Roth.
Yes, he does this thing where it's like he told me he loves horror because it's like a melting pot of all the genres that he can do into one. Like you could be times where you're kind of like emotional with the characters, or you're just like you're wanting one of the characters to die in an awful way, or you're laughing at uncomfortable situations. And so Thanksgiving was kind of this whole like literally table, this feast of just like kind of it was comedy, horror, thriller, mystery. It was all these things, and they hit every single beat, and it was just at the end of the day, it was fun. It was
and I find, and here's the thing, I told Milo this as well, and I'm gonna say this is basically the reason why I love horror movies, man, is because like there's something I get from it that I also get from two other things I'm gonna share with you right now. So I'm a big heavy metal music fan because when I listen to heavy metal, I feel like I'm on a roller coaster.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I am a big pro wrestling fan because when I watch wrestling, I feel like I'm on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
I love horror movies because when I watch horror movies, I'm strapped in on a roller coaster. That's why I love it. It's like this rush and like a vent. You know what I mean? Like it's just like the best feeling, dude.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just it's just amazing. It hits every single note, and if it's done right, it hits every single note and stuff. So. Yeah,
I used to get so scared of them growing up, and then I had a coping mechanism where I remember watching like The Grudge with Sarah Michelle Gellar, and like being like, you know, it's not real, it's okay, it's not real, it's just Buffy, it's not real, like it's an actor.
I know.
Amityville Horror being like, it's just Ryan Reynolds, like it's not real.
Yeah, I have a total story like that too. I snuck into my mom's room when she was downstairs when I was growing up, and I watched Cabin Fever when I was like 12, and it scarred me for my whole life. I didn't want to go into the woods or anything like that. And so when I first got the job for Thanksgiving, I text Eli. I was like, "Hey man, thank you so much for scarring me as a kid. Like I can't deal with this anymore."
Well, I was able to. I spoke to Takashi Shimizu, who created the original Grudge, Ju-on, and like I told him, I'm like, "Thank you for the nightmares." He was like, "You're very welcome."
It shapes us as people, you know.
They love it though. They love that. You know what I mean? That's the point, right?
That's what they're trying to do. Totally. What they're trying to do. They're trying to scar us when we're little.
All right. There had to be a prank on set or some pranks or something. I know a lot of your castmates are really funny people and really energetic people. There had to be something you could share with me. Was there something funny or like an inside joke or something on set?
Oh, we had so much. There's one that sticks out. I'll say it was one of the first days we all met each other. It started on the first day we all met.
Yeah.
And so we were doing a screen test, and so all of us were trying on different clothes, and just some of us were dressing up as clowns and stuff. And we had somebody dress up as a clown. And Jenna Warren, she's deathly afraid of clowns, and none of us knew this. And so we have somebody walk into the frame as we're all trying on our clothes in front of the camera, and a clown comes in the frame, and she turns around and sees him, and it's right here, and she just drops to the floor, just like screaming. And it was just like this whole thing now. And then the rest of the whole shoot, all of us kept on trying to sneak up to her with the clown mask on.
Oh.
Yeah, she hates all of us for that. And I think they're going to release that footage in like a BTS thing, so you'll see what I'm talking about.
It reminds me of, because one of the scariest and one of my favorite horror movies of all time is The Strangers with Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like, what is more scary than that movie? Like,
nothing. Nothing, dude.
I remember, have you done an escape room ever?
I have, yeah.
Okay, have you ever done the horror movie themed escape rooms? So there's one we did where it was straight up like, the story was there was a murder in like a house and you have to figure out who did it, right? It was like a family. And there's one scene where like there's a locket in a kitchen sink. So you have to go down and basically like take out the locket and get the code, right? Because it's escape room, right? But there's conveniently a window in front of where the sink is, right? So you're looking down and you're pulling it up. You're pulling it, and then you look up, and there's someone with the stranger's mask
right
in front of you. They bought like a replica on eBay.
No, that's the worst.
And and then I screamed, and then they were getting me because there's like four of us, right? And like the people that work at the escape rooms, they have the greatest time, right? Because I'm their target now, right? So they're kind of like, that's my guy, right? So the whole time they were like creeping up on me with the mask. And I just think of that movie, and like that's the scariest movie. And
those masks are underrated. Those are crazy.
That movie was nuts. And then, you know what else is nuts? Thanksgiving, which is going to be available in theaters November 17th. Yep. Can't wait for people to see it. I'm so happy for you, man. Honestly, like I genuinely am. It's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It was so great chatting with you.
Thank you. This is an honor, man. Thank you so much.
So the movie's coming on November 17th. Your Instagram account, is it just your name if people want to keep up to date with everything?
Yeah, just Jalen Thomas Brooks. Yep.
Awesome. Well, this has been Pop Turn at youtube.com/PopTurn for previous episodes. You, of course, catch Jalen Thomas Brooks in Thanksgiving in theaters starting November 17th. Until next time, this is Jalen and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popturnative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popturnative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.